Hey, what's up, Crypto Army? I'm Travis, your crypto newbie, bringing you my experiences so you don't have to learn things the hard way. Just a reminder, I'm not a financial advisor, and none of my content should be viewed as financial advice. If you like what my content offers, don't forget to hit that subscribe button, like the video, and turn on notifications so you get notified when I post new content. Now, just a quick ad before we jump into today's video. Crypto Newbie here to tell you how you can get $2,340 in free stocks. All the links I use in this video are in the description. Sign up for Webull and get 2 free stocks valued up to $2,300. Your first stock is free automatically. Deposit any amount and you get your second stock. Deposit 1 penny and you get your second stock. Total value could be up to $2,300. Generally $5 per stock is what you get. Next we have block fee. Get $10 in Bitcoin just for signing up. Read the fine print. I've got a rewards account. You'll get $40 in Bitcoin, as will I. So you know exactly what I'm going to get and what you're going to get. You do need to deposit $100 to get your $40 in Bitcoin. That's the overview how to get $2,340 just by signing up for accounts. So today we're going to take a look at Solana. I've been mentioning it every once in a while in my videos. I think it's a fantastic project and I think you're going to be impressed when we start getting into this. Now Solana, just a little bit of background. It stood up in March of 2020, so it's a little over a year old. It's already in the top 10 for all crypto projects. It's a really impressive suite, very similar to Ethereum in many ways. It's a direct competitor with Ethereum, and with their transaction costs, I think it could probably replace Ethereum, especially because Ethereum hasn't fixed their gas fees. But we'll get into some of the fundamentals as we start getting into this. It's a massive website. It's got a lot of information, so we're only going to touch on pieces of it in order to do our fundamental analysis for this particular project. I highly encourage you to come check out this website. When I say it has a lot of information, it has a ton of information on their website. It's one of the better websites I've reviewed, especially considering that it's only a year and some change old. But it's a blockchain. And it's an equivalent to an Ethereum blockchain where you have smart contracts and you have applications running on it. So it's a little different than the normal token review that we do. It's actually very similar to a Left Zero. And I suspect that it's probably a better comparison to say that Solana and a Left Zero are competitors because they're both so far beyond what Ethereum's capable of at this particular juncture that these two really are the better competitors between all the different blockchains. There's no competitor that can match the transaction and the cost per transaction that Solana can and what Left Zero shows promise to be able to do. First, a little bit about the team. Now, Solana was actually developed by Solana Labs and Solana Foundation. So in order to see their team, we have to go to 2 different places. So here's the Solana Foundation's website. And we'll scroll through here a little bit, and it really just links you back to Solana.com, which is their main website for the blockchain. Not a lot of information on here, but they were involved in the development of Solana. So it's important to bring the Solana Foundation into the conversation of this particular blockchain. Next we have Solana Labs. Now Solana Labs has a LinkedIn page, but they don't have much else, and they're going to link you back to Solana.com, just like Solana Foundation. And it tells you they're in San Francisco, California. Now the headquarters for Solana is actually in Geneva, Switzerland, but they do have a US branch as well, and you can see that here on locations. And then you can go through all the different employees and developers, and obviously they're all on LinkedIn, so it's a fully doxed company. I would have preferred that it be on the actual website rather than having to go to a couple different places to see the team. But this is a little bit different kind of a project than a normal token that we would review. But even Left Zero was able to put their development team on their main website. My suspicion is that when Solana launched, it had a different website. I didn't look at this particular project back in March of 2020. I suspect that the team was on it at that time, and the team and the project has grown since then, and you can see that the website really is phenomenal when you go through this. So it's kind of like we're doing a review on Ethereum, so it's a little bit different kind of a comparison as far as a fundamental analysis. All the information is present, you just have to go to a couple different places, and doing a review or a fundamental analysis on Solana it's kind of crazy when you think about it, because it's a well-established project that there's countless people that are using it, as you can see. Total transactions in the billions. That's incredible. All right, so that was their team. Now let's take a look at their website and answer some of the other questions that we look at. As far as use case, it's a fully functional blockchain with smart contract capability. It's pretty much serving the planet. It's got an all-encompassing use case to include NFTs, games, software, and we'll go through kind of what the ecosystem and the snapshot already looks like. But you very quickly understand that the use case for this particular project is endless. It'd be like asking what's the use case for Ethereum or Bitcoin. Probably more so Ethereum or even a Left Zero. Pretty much endless. So as far as use case, it's everything. Whatever you can think of using a blockchain for is really the possibilities. Now let's look at the website here. So I love the interface. Transactions per second. Interestingly enough, and we'll talk a little bit more about this in a little bit, but the theoretical limits are astronomical. It's in the millions. Now they generally advertise somewhere between 65 and 100,000 transactions per second. But when we get to the white paper and we get to some of the other areas in this website, the numbers that they think are possible as they expand this are pretty crazy. Way beyond anything that Ethereum 2.0 is looking at. Ethereum 2.0, when it launches, is potentially going to have 100,000 transactions per second is what they're looking at. But it hasn't launched yet. So when that launches, we'll take a look at it. So transactions per second right now, they're averaging around 2250, but that's just how many transactions that they're dealing with every second. It's not that it's a limit, that's just what's going on for traffic. And then you can see the total transactions. Average cost, can you imagine paying under a penny? Now most people say it's free because it doesn't even register as a penny if you round. I mean, if you round 5, it's 3. You don't even have a penny for a transaction. And then the number of nodes that it's got. Now, it says it's the fastest in the world because it is. There isn't any other that is as fast as Solana right now. Now, potentially Left Zero is faster. Their numbers are as fast or faster than what Solana is currently showing that they're doing. But again, their theoretical limit on the top end is actually a little higher here for advertisement purposes. Whether they've achieved it, I'm not sure. I couldn't find anything in the documentation that said they'd actually achieve those numbers in real use case. But neither has Left Zero other than in testing. As far as the ecosystem, you've been kind of seeing some of this scroll by as we go through. There's a picture I'll show you that has a small piece of it because you're talking about 400 different projects right now, I think is what they've got, or 400 different things that are on their blockchain. Now we're going to watch this video because I thought it was pretty good.
Let me ask you a question. Tired of high fees and slow transactions? So are we. Public blockchains have opened the door for anyone with
Ethereum front and center
to create and access digital markets.
I wonder what they're trying to say.
The global financial system has the potential to become more innovative, efficient, and democratized. But there's a problem. Legacy blockchains don't scale, and therefore the crypto apps built on top can't either. As usage has increased, so have the fees and transaction wait times, preventing crypto ecosystems from reaching their full potential. Enter Solana. The Solana blockchain is fast, really fast, and it's low cost, with average fees less than a cent per transaction. What's more, Solana empowers developers to rapidly experiment and deploy apps using composable building blocks, while never dealing with additional friction introduced by sharding or fragmented layer 2 systems. Lastly, Solana is censorship resistant and scales as its ecosystem grows to billions of users globally, meaning the network will remain open for applications to run freely and transactions will never be stopped. Yes, Solana is truly unstoppable, now and forever. So say goodbye to slow transactions and high fees, and say hello to Solana, where you can build crypto apps that scale today.
Pretty phenomenal video editing they've got there. And again, they've been in existence for over a year now, so you'd expect that because they've really grown significantly over the year. Very sleek interface. I didn't see any issues with their website, and nor should I. By now they've got a pretty good sized team working on everything. You can mine Solana. You can also stake Solana. So it's a proof of work and a proof of stake, and it's also a proof of history. That's pretty much their main page. Now, as far as the white paper, there's two ways to do this. So there is a white paper, and it is buried on this website. So here's their white paper. It reminds me a lot of Left Zero's. It's a fairly complicated white paper, and you can see the link here, but I'll put the link in the description if you want to go through and read it. But it's really talking about what their blockchain is going to be capable of, and a lot of the factors related to the blockchain itself, not necessarily about a roadmap or where they're trying to go. But what was interesting here, and there's actually another number someplace else I'm going to show you as well, which I call it their white paper on steroids, because that's kind of what it is. But up to 710,000 transactions per second on a 1 gigabyte network. And remember that 1 gigabyte network. So way more transactions than they're currently advertising, of around 60,000-ish. Again, I'll put the link in the description if you want to read the full white paper. But let's go to what I consider to be their white paper 2.0. So back on their main website, if you hit the read documentation, it'll open up a treasure trove of information for everything that you can imagine, whether it's building on Solana's network or becoming a validator node. It really does have a ton of information. And then if you just click up here on the Learn button, this is what I call their white paper 2.0. So if you just go to the About and start at the beginning, and you've got an endless supply of information you can read about Solana. It's really is just a ton of information. And I scrolled through some of this. What I thought was really interesting was the theoretical capability of a 40 gig network, which is 28.4 million transactions per second. Do you think that's scalable? I think they've resolved the scalability issue. Now, it remains to be seen if they actually do scale that level. That's just what the science and the math says is possible for Solana. Feel free to take a look at this. It really, I skimmed it. I went through different options in here trying to find things and just reading about it. A lot of really interesting stuff, but probably a video for a different day. So let's go back to the main website. Now that we're back on this main website, let's take a look at community. They have a podcast. That was kind of interesting, and you can actually hear directly from the CEO. So again, they're definitely doxed. It's a little challenging to see, and I like this about Left Zero because they've actually got their entire team right on their website. You have the option for the Discord, which is one of the things we look at, but it's a sleek interface of how to interact and specific Discords for engineering. A very interesting approach. And you can see that they're really focused on the community and making sure that they can continue to push development on their platform, which goes into their use case and the target audience, which is kind of global, everybody, everywhere. Pretty impressive. Now, let's take a look at ecosystem. And here's really what I wanted to look at. So you can click on the button and you can see all the new projects that are out there. You're going to see a lot of NFT-based projects, and you can see more. There's 423, of which you're seeing 6 right now. And then if you want to just see NFTs, there's 120. DeFi, there's 112. And you can keep going down the list and looking at how many they've got developed. Or not necessarily them specifically, but they are operating on the Solana blockchain. 423. Games, gaming, NFTs, Oracle. It's an endless stablecoin. They've got a pretty robust list of projects that are already working on their blockchain, and it's only going to get bigger. And this is 1 year. You should be excited right about now. Let's branch off from this. We could spend an entire day just going through their website. There's a lot of information on here. Now, there is no roadmap that I could find on this particular website. I'm not sure that it's practical to have a roadmap for this kind of a project at this point in their process. Left Zero makes sense because they haven't actually launched at the time. Now they've done their public launch, but they're still developing their use case and their target audience and their integrations and building to be the next Solana. or better than the next Solana. I kind of see that this is a little bit different kind of an assessment, but it shows you what this is just amazing. If Ethereum can't fix their situation, I could see most development teams switching over to Solana because it opens up the world for investing in tokens built on the Solana blockchain. That's a ridiculously low amount of money for transactions. There are some transactions I've paid over $150 in gas fees and other fees associated. That would have been pennies potentially on this particular blockchain. I kind of wish most of my projects that I've invested in were on this blockchain because it's a lot more affordable. I'd have more shares because I haven't wasted it on gas. All right, let's keep moving. Now, I did find their security audit from 2019 on their website, and you can see Solana.com and the address there. I'll put that in the description as well. Now, this is a robust audit. Now, this is one of the better companies. I actually think this one's better than Certic. There's really a top 4 or 5 companies in the world for security audits, and this is one of them. They're a phenomenal audit, and it's represented by the level of audit they did. It's 111 pages of audit. I'm not going to focus on the audit. This blockchain's been up for over a year, and we're going to cover some of the issues that they have had, or at least one in particular because it's fairly recent. Clearly, it's a secure platform. So I'm not going to focus as much. It exists. It was done. So there's a check in the box for that. Now, how do we grade it? Because there wasn't a grade. The level of detail they went into, and there was no significant issues that were identified. So I gave them 100. And again, they've been operating flawlessly pretty much for the entire time. So that's where I came up to. I mean, there's a little bit of subjectivity when they don't use a physical score. And in this case, I went with 100. So here's CoinMarketCap. Now, I always like looking at where things start. So if we start back at around March, April timeframe, looks like April is when it's on CoinMarketCap. We're already at the 80-cent mark, and I don't know what the launch day was. I didn't look at this particular project back then to see where it began, but we use 60 cents, and we're already at $147. Now, I keep going back to Left Zero because there's a pretty strong correlation between these two projects. Imagine that you were on that day one buy where it was 10 cents and it hits $147 next year. Should be excited. If you bought into Left Zero on day one and you're already a proud owner of Left Zero, that potentially is your future. And I think this one's only going to go higher and higher and higher. Because if you look at it, their market cap's only $44 billion. So if we look at where Solana is on our chart here, they're number 7. And they're just starting. And if you look at Ethereum, is it entirely possible that Solana climbs this chart? Absolutely. Because it's far better than what's in between. I mean, this is a stable coin, right? I definitely see the possibility that it could be a direct competitor with Ethereum. Now, most of the projects that are on the Ethereum network are already there. They're not necessarily going to move over to the Solana network. But I can see a lot more popping up on Solana just because people don't want to use Ethereum because the gas prices are just so high. At least I haven't done a transaction on Ethereum in a while other than USDC just because the gas prices are so high. Now imagine that it gets up to $414 billion market cap. I think it's possible. And that's a significant increase. Now, is it going to be there at the end of the year? Absolutely not. Is it going to be there next year? Probably not. But I think it'll get there. And hopefully Left Zero makes it up into the top 10 as well. And QuickTime as well. Maybe next year we'll be looking at Left Zero on this chart. Now, one of the things, we'll go back to Solana for a second. Now that we're back on Solana, there is no holder list. I can't tell you how many people hold it. I couldn't find the number of holders anywhere for figuring this portion out. Now, I didn't find the number of holders on this website, so we're going to leave that blank on the assessment tool. But I suspect there's probably more than 0 and less than Bitcoin. That's a fair assumption. But what the actual number is, I didn't want to throw off the assessment tool, so it'll just be 0 for right now until there's a way to see how many holders. And there might be a way. I'm just not as familiar with the different tools that Solana has for its blockchain and it's how to view different data points inside of the blockchain. And you can see here that they've got a circulating supply of 299 million Solana tokens or coins. Their max is going to be 506 million. Now their Lunar Crush score is 71 out of 100. Again, I don't dig much more into that other than the score. If you want to see what comprises the score, just come to the website, and the link will be in the description. Now that we've covered the website and CoinMarketCap, I wanted to cover some information that's helpful in a snapshot. Now, Chain Debrief released this article, and it's got a really interesting chart on it that we're going to explore. So transactions per second for Solana is 65,000 in comparison to Ethereum's 15, Binance's 100, Polkadot's 1,000, and Cardano's 270, and Tron's 1,000. So you can clearly see who's the fastest out there for transactions per second. Now Ethereum 2.0 is rumored to be up to 100,000, like I mentioned earlier. And this number does fluctuate depending on where you're looking at it. So it's less or more, but it's always in the tens of thousands in comparison to the competitors. And then you can see the average price. Again, that fluctuates. That's an average. Yeah, $15. Now, Binance Smart Chain is not bad. I use Binance Smart Chain a lot as well. But you can't beat less than a penny. And obviously this is a few months old. I want to say this article came out in August. So since August, we've gone from 15 billion, and I think on their website it showed 30-some billion transactions. So it's doubled in a couple months. That's pretty impressive. But there's some other information on here that's helpful if you want to take a look. Again, this link will be in the description as well. Now, here's an interesting graphic that shows the ecosystem for Solana. And I like this graphic. It's not everything. We know there's 400 or 423, I think is what the Solana's website had on there. So this is from June, and you can kind of see now, if this was everything in June, and I'm not going to say that it was, it's significant growth in such a short period of time. But this is also around the same time the Ethereum gas prices have really have had some issues. So it's encouraged people to find alternatives to build on. But I like this graphic, and I thought that might be helpful for y'all as well. Now, as far as issues, back in September, so last month, they had an issue where Solana went down for a day. And when it came back up, it had forked. So the transaction logs were different depending on who was looking at them. They eventually fixed it. It took them about 24 hours to get it up, but they did have a problem because of the transaction volume that they had that particular day, which is interesting. Now, they said they've fixed everything, and I never did see a specific reason for what happened other than transaction volume, which shouldn't be a problem if you can support 65,000 transactions per second. But that was the explanation they gave, and everything has been working fine since, and it really didn't cause a lot of issues for Solana or any of the people that were on Solana at the time. Now, Solana has also been featured in Forbes and multiple other magazines over the months. This was a recent article from September, which shows the 13,000% increase from the beginning of the year till now, which is impressive. I kind of wish I'd bought it at that particular moment, but I didn't either. This is to illustrate that it's getting a lot of exposure. So that's pretty much all the material for a fundamental analysis. So let's go take a look at how they did. The visually appealing website, yes. No spelling or grammar. I didn't see any website errors. The team isn't listed, so I listed no. I did have to do some research to figure out the team information. But they are doxed, just not on their website and not on social media. They've got an actual company. They have a contact method, multiple. Security audit, yes. Price was listed. Market cap, yes. How to buy actually wasn't listed, oddly enough. It did not have information for how to buy. The audit score, again, I walked through that on why it's 100. They have a roadmap, but it's really broad. Is it current? I mean, it's really, the entire website provides the roadmap for the development of their ecosystem of apps, and that's what I used. It's not like a roadmap that we normally see. It's a different kind of a roadmap. It's where they're trying to take it. White paper's there. I didn't see any problems with it, and they've got that massive library of information that's kind of like a white paper as well. Development team is known, yes, and professional team, yes. use case. Do they have a coin? Yes. They have a blockchain. They have NFTs on their platform. They have a wallet. They have an exchange. Not that I actually saw a direct exchange, no. But they are listed on multiple exchanges, but that's a little bit different. I wouldn't say that they had a swap. There are lots of games on their platform, but not necessarily anything that they developed. Software they do have. If you click on some of the links up on the top, it'll take you to different tools that interact with the blockchain and assist development teams. Country recognition, no. And legal tender, no. Again, their holder strength, don't know it. Galaxy score was 71. Plenty of YouTube channels out there for Solana. There's definitely plenty of Twitter information out there and Discord. And their target audience, I would say, is the planet. They really have, when you looked at NFTs, games, they're looking at everything built on Solana. A 405 out of 568. And I suspect holder strength would probably take them into the A range if we knew how many holders they have. If they have 25 million holders, that would give them 65% of what Bitcoin has and an A. So you can see the number of holders could potentially be what drives this one into an A project. You can see B is a pretty competitive project, and that's definitely something I would invest in. Now, a couple things we didn't really discuss throughout the course of the video. Solana's primarily partnered with private industry regarding the development of apps on its blockchain. There are some other blockchains that have taken a more active role with developing with countries or governments. Solana doesn't appear to be doing that at this particular juncture. Not to say that they couldn't in the future, but that would leave out a huge chunk of the target market for global adoption. My suggestion to them is to try to work out some more integrations with countries that are out there and are looking for blockchain developments. It makes sense to try to target the governments that will eventually adopt your blockchain and propel it into new heights. That's just my recommendation. But they do have quite a few partnerships with private industry, and that is helping them to propel forward. Hopefully you found this video helpful. It's a little different than the normal token review, so let me know in the comments if you thought I should have focused on something else or focused on it in a different way just because it is a fully functioning blockchain. I don't plan on looking at Ethereum just because it's been around for as long as it has. It'd be like looking at Bitcoin. We're all familiar with those and we know that they're reliable investments. Just a reminder, if you found my content helpful, please hit the subscribe button, like the video, and turn on notifications so you get notified when I publish new content. Until next time, stay strong with those diamond hands.